The red and blue lights came on behind me while I was pumping gas. I hadn't even touched the steering wheel in 10 minutes, and somehow that was enough for a sheriff to decide I might have stolen my own car. Yeah, that happened. And the wildest part is the real story didn't start when he spoke. It started the second he parked behind me and blocked my exit like I was already guilty of something I hadn't done. It was late, one of those quiet southern nights where the highway sounds far away and the air smells like asphalt and diesel. I'd just gotten off a 14-hour shift and my body felt like it had been folded wrong all day. All I wanted was gas music and the drive home, you know what I mean? Just that little peaceful stretch of road where nobody needs anything from you. I pulled into the station, slid my card in, leaned against the side of my Escalade while the tank filled, and I remember actually thinking tonight's been long, but at least it's over. Then the patrol lights flashed. Right up behind my SUV and stopped close. Right up behind my SUV and stopped close, real close, like he was trying to make sure I couldn't move if I wanted to. That's when I felt that little shift in my chest. Not fear exactly, more like awareness, like when your instincts tap you on the shoulder and whisper, "Pay attention." He stepped out, slow hand near his holster face, already set like he'd rehearsed this moment in his head, and without so much as a hello, he said, "License and registration. No explanation, no greeting. Just demand." I kept my tone level, told him, "What's the reason for the stop?" And he tilted his head like I'd spoken the wrong language. "I'm the one asking questions," he said. See, people think confrontation is loud. They picture shouting matches and pointing fingers, but most of the time it's quiet, heavy quiet, like the air gets thick and every word matters more than it should. I told him where my license was before I reached for it, told him I was opening my purse, told him I was grabbing the registration from the glove compartment. Every movement slow, clear, deliberate, because when you know you're being watched, you don't give anybody room to misinterpret anything. He took the papers but didn't even look at them. His eyes stayed locked on my car like it was the one being questioned. "How'd you get a vehicle like this?" he asked. I almost smiled, not because it was funny, but because it was familiar. "I bought it," I said. "With what money?" he asked. "I work." He glanced at me, then back at the SUV, like my answer didn't match whatever picture he'd already painted in his mind. Another cruiser pulled in, and a deputy stepped out, younger guy posture, stiff eyes bouncing between us like he'd walked into a scene already in progress. "Problem?" he asked. The sheriff didn't answer, just kept staring at me, then said, "Step away from the vehicle." I told him calm as I could, "I'm parked." He took a step closer. "Temporary tag could be stolen." I nodded once. "You can run it." He didn't move, didn't walk back to his car, didn't radio dispatch, didn't type anything into his computer. He just stood there holding my license like the plastic itself was suspicious. By then I noticed people watching a guy across the lot holding up his phone, 2 customers inside the store pressed near the glass, another car idling near the entrance with someone clearly recording. It's strange how being watched sharpens everything. The sound of the pump clicking, the hum of the canopy lights, even the way the wind brushes your sleeve. The sheriff looked me up and down slowly, shoes, jacket, hands, then back at the Escalade. "That's an expensive ride," he said. "You don't look like the type." There it was, plain as daylight, not shouted, not whispered, just dropped between us like a stone. I nodded slightly and said, "You just said your reason." His jaw tightened. He flipped my license over in his fingers and told me, "Stay put." I said, "I am standing still." He stepped closer anyway, closing the space like he needed to prove he could. The lights on his cruiser kept spinning, red, then blue, then red again, washing over everything like we were inside some kind of slow-moving siren. I reached into my jacket and told him I'm getting my credentials. I pulled out my badge and held it forward. The deputy leaned in, eyes widening just a little, but the sheriff took it, turned it over, studied it, then said, "Could be fake." I told him, "You can call the field office." He didn't. He handed the badge back but kept my license and said, "You're not free to go." And that sentence, that's the moment things changed for me, because once someone tells you you're not free without explaining why, you realize this isn't about law anymore, it's about power. Minutes passed, maybe 5, maybe 10 time stretches in moments like that. Every second feels like it's waiting for something to happen. Then a gray sedan with municipal plates pulled in and stopped 2 pumps away. A woman stepped out, calm, steady, the kind of presence that doesn't need volume to be authority. The deputy straightened and said quietly, "Captain, she's federal." The captain looked at me, then at the sheriff. Traffic violation, she asked. No. Report of a stolen vehicle. No. Did you run the plate? Silence. That kind of silence that answers for you. She looked at him and said, "Return her license." He hesitated just long enough for everyone watching to notice, then handed it back. She turned to me and said, "You're free to go." I didn't move right away. I said evenly, "For the record, I was detained while pumping gas. No violation stated, no check run." She nodded once. Understood. I got into my car, closed the door, started the engine, and as I pulled out, the patrol lights shut off like someone flipped a switch and ended a scene, but real life doesn't end when the lights go off, because cameras had been rolling the whole time. By morning, the footage was everywhere: local news, national clips, social feeds, every angle synced, every word clear, his comment replayed again and again while commentators debated tone, intent, context. All the things people argue about when they're trying to decide what they just saw. 6 weeks later, he was fired. Official reason said unlawful detention and procedural violations. Certification revoked. Pension under review. Career over. 3 months after that, I filed a federal civil rights lawsuit, and what came out during that process was something people always act surprised by, even though they shouldn't be. There were records of other stops, similar circumstances, similar patterns documented. 14 months later, the county settled for $40 million and agreed to reforms, mandatory body cameras, documented cause before stops, civilian oversight, reviewing records every quarter. Real policy changes, not just promises for the cameras. People think winning a case like that feels like fireworks, like you walk outside and the world applauds, but honestly it feels quieter than that. It feels like finally setting down a weight you didn't realize you'd been carrying. I kept my job, got promoted later, kept driving the same Escalade. Only difference is now, there's a dash cam mounted behind my windshield recording every second. Not because I'm afraid, but because I know what proof looks like. I heard through the grapevine he works nights now at a warehouse on the edge of town, hourly pay different life. I didn't celebrate when I heard that. I didn't need to. Consequences don't have to be loud to be real. What stays with me isn't his job loss or the settlement number. It's that first moment when he blocked my exit before checking anything, before verifying anything, before having any reason except what he saw and what he assumed. That was the real violation. Everything else was just evidence. And people still argue about it. Some say he deserved it, some say it was too harsh, some say he was just doing his job, some say the cameras made it look worse than it was. That's why I always ask the same question. What actually changes behavior? Like that, losing money, losing power, losing reputation, or knowing that somewhere someone might be recording. Because if nobody had been filming that night, this probably would have been just another story that never left a gas station parking lot. So I want to hear from you honestly. What do you think mattered most in the end? The lawsuit, the firing, or the footage? And have you ever witnessed something that made you question how authority really works when it thinks no one's watching? Tell me your take in the comments. Share your story if you've got one, because conversations like this only matter if real people are willing to speak up and be heard.